Uh, the Starfield one.
Yeah.
It got like 8 immediate hits. So, yeah, because we were talking about helium mines in the middle of nowhere. So anyway, I'm
Oh, did we
Pat.
start? Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'm Jeffrey. Yeah. Helium mines in the middle of nowhere. Yes. Um,
yeah.
procedural generation. That means nothing.
It does mean nothing. Now, did you start playing Skylines?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, how is it? I haven't touched it yet. So like I downloaded it. It's all queued up. I even got an icon on my desktop. So, but I cannot bring myself to click on it yet because it's kind of like clicking a button that says fast forward the next 6 months of your life.
Okay, I haven't played it nearly as much as I wanted to.
Oh, okay.
So I'm maybe an hour, 2 hours in.
Oh, that's not very much at all.
No, I'm not. Maybe a little bit more than that, but not by much. So yeah, okay. Well, the thing is, it feels really familiar,
Okay.
right? It doesn't. There's not something. It doesn't feel like you've jumped into a completely different experience, and I guess that's good, right? I didn't know what to expect. I haven't been watching stuff on it except for that like initial trailer. And that was just mostly showing like overviews and stuff like this. And so right now I'm kind of experimenting, but there's some things that are really cool about it so far,
Okay.
right? Just a few like quality of life things that just in the beginning I'm like, thank you for doing this, right? Just simple things like um, there's like a dedicated like roundabout street thing, and it's not like the other ones where it's this big circle,
Right,
right?
right, right.
You can just go to any existing intersection
And roundabout it.
and just choose which
Oh,
roundabout you
nice.
want, and just it'll replace it for you, right? Like, okay, that's really nice of you, and it's just a little pre-designed one here. You can still do all the crazy circles and things like that, but it looks a little bit more city-like than some of the
Cool.
big loops and stuff like that I've created. And just a couple other things like with when you're making parallel roads.
Oh, is there a pair? Oh, that's nice. I know there was a mod for that, but I got skittish after downloading mods after a while. So after it would fuck up your game. So
Some of them
uh,
would. I mean, you don't want to go crazy with those things,
uh
but yeah, it's kind of cool where it's just yeah, you choose the parallel construction, you say how far apart you want them, what kind of road.
oh,
That's
neat. Very cool.
again just like a simple thing that just makes a big like difference. And there's a neat little progression system in here that I do like, right? So you remember how you start a game and you're not playing with the unlimited whatever, right?
Yeah, so you got to wait till you hit 7,000 people before you can play with trains. So yeah.
stuff like that. So there is still stuff like that going on, but part of that is as you're playing, you accumulate these points, right?
Oh, okay.
And much like a skill tree, right? Whatever you want to develop, you put the points in.
Oh, okay.
So like if I want to, get to, solar plants or something like that,
Right.
right? I can go ahead and push for that instead of doing this, instead of having all these things unlock at the same time. The other thing that you'll notice, and this was like, holy shit, right? Is I guess I'm used to that 9 square limit.
Yeah, I hear the maps are enormous.
Well, it's not just that the maps are enormous, it's that you buy sections in much smaller parcels,
Oh, okay.
right? So take that initial square that you have,
Yeah.
right? And you go to the thing and it'll say that you have it says like annex or purchase or something like that. And you buy basically that's subdivided into like 9 smaller squares already. So
Oh.
instead of just buying this whole big chunk, you can get this corner. You can get you
Oh,
know
see, that's nice.
small things like that that make a difference. And the other thing that I thought was very cool was like say that you have like a clinic, right?
Uh-huh.
So you plop down this building and you click on this building, right? And what you'll see there is in the building itself, you have upgrades to the building that you
Yes,
can
I
do.
did see that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that I don't think I saw it with the clinic, but I saw it with the power plant, how it works with the coal plant. where you can make the plant bigger, so without having to plop a whole new one.
Yeah, you can make the plant bigger without plopping into it. And like with the clinic, the cool thing is that like you click on it, you add like the ambulance section.
Oh, nice.
And if you want to like increase what can serve, you add additional parking lots, and you put some right.
Oh, so you plot parking lots in this.
So yeah, and then there are places where you can use parking lots to alleviate street traffic.
Oh.
You know how people park on the
fucking streets. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, well, that's cool too.
Yeah, that is cool.
And a lot of the buildings are like that. Like the schools have additional things. And I'm going to say this, like the schools are way bigger.
Are they?
Yeah.
They don't serve like 300 kids.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Well, they do. But it's strange that they have a much greater area of effectiveness, right? Instead of having like
do you have to do bus routes?
I haven't messed with it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so like when you plop that down, you can put like you place like a clinic in the school for the kids.
Aw.
And playgrounds and
like sports fields and shit.
Well, like the high school, yeah, you put a full blown like fucking like stadium.
Oh, fucking sweat.
That's what I'm talking about.
Man, that'd be nice.
The additional parts of this that give it, you know, flavor. Where
everybody got the mandatory basketball hoop.
There was that. What I was trying to say was like, think about it in terms of you're adding personality to it and saying like, well, this is the nice high school.
This is the one with the skate park and the band promenade.
Oh well, okay, yeah. I don't know. I can go that far, but I'm just saying like you can look into it and say like, well, yeah, this is the good neighborhood. This
right.
is it feels like there's a little bit more potential for storytelling within this game.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is there any politics in the game?
I haven't encountered any.
Yeah, I don't think there is. So.
I know that you have a sense that somehow it's going to take a bizarre socialist bend, as they did last time around.
It will. It will. It's Colossal, or it's a Scandinavian company, so it will. I'll get to own the coal mine at some point in time. So yeah.
There's not anywhere thus far have I seen anything about who owns the means of production or anything like that.
All right. Does the city own the newspaper? That's the next step.
Well, it's all done through their, Twatter app or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Chirper.
Chirper. Yeah. And the other thing that is kind of cool is like there are different subdivisions between the greens.
Between you mean the residential?
Uh-huh. So, say for example, so if you're picturing it right now and you picture that classic light green color, right?
Right.
What's that going to plop down?
Little houses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Still going to do that, right?
Okay.
Now, you're going to have a diversity of deeper greens, right?
Okay.
Which are how you're going to build things like duplexes and condos and
row houses and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah, SimCity had that. So,
and that's just another one of those things that does add to that diversity of.
Yeah, you could control that a little bit in Skylines if you had the right expansion packs. So, because there was like low, medium, and high density, so. But then you could zone it using different, like some of the different zones or what do they call districts. And then it would change the height of the buildings and stuff. So you could control that.
Yeah.
But not like you could in SimCity where it's like, no, these are townhomes.
Right.
So I remember that in SimCity. You'd zone medium if you wanted rows of ancient brownstones. So which were kind of they looked cool. So
yeah. That's sort of what I'm talking about there. So I'm like, yeah. Now again, I haven't fucked with the districts yet too much. As of right now, I'm just like trying to. I've restarted like 4 cities because, well,
yeah, I know you always do in the beginning. Yeah,
there's this thing where I'm like, all right, well, I'm trying to see what sort of problems come up, what sort of this comes up. There's There's something weird about the power system that I'm still trying to figure out.
I saw an explainer video on that where you have to use transformers. So
That's what I'm seeing is that you build a power station and then you have to build transformers around the place, and you build cables to the transformers,
and then they connect into the transformers. So
right,
yeah,
right, because that's how you prevent, like, so they have this equation or whatever where it's the further away from the
yeah.
So
so it's a relay station. Got it. Yeah. Okay. I played another game that was like that a long time ago.
what was that?
I don't know. It was just this little like thing that was free on Steam a while ago, where you built a power grid and the city would build up around it. So, but you had to have the main power plant and then transmission lines, and then you had to have a transformer, and then you have to have relay stations to send it further out. So there were like 3 or 4 different things you had to do. So, but that one had like all this base and peak load kind of bullshit in it stuff. So I doubt Skylines has got that in. I can't remember what that game was called. That wasn't that long ago. It was a couple of years ago. So, but anyway, yeah.
And one thing I must recommend that you do is, prior to playing this game, go to NVIDIA's page, download the latest driver, because that was fucking up my game.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. I had to do that not too long ago with Starfield, so...
Oh, well, then you're probably fine.
Maybe, I don't know. So, I don't know how far behind I was. So, Starfield runs great, so, yeah.
Well, I don't think they updated it in the past, 3 weeks.
Oh, probably not. Yeah. I guess it's only been that long since I got it.
Well,
it feels like I've been playing that game for 6 months now, man.
It's that kind of game.
It is that kind of game.
You're still dipping around and dunking in that game.
Oh, fuck yeah.
What are you doing?
I don't know, man. That game's got its hooks in me. So.
Well, no, I mean, specifically, what are you doing?
I'm back to shipbuilding now. So, yeah. But
You got whooped, right?
By what?
I thought you said you got whooped in a fight, so...
No.
Oh.
No, nothing. I'm afraid of nothing in the universe now. So I need to polish off the story and see what this post-game game is. So, because I keep seeing stuff about that, and it's like, all right, well, I'm going to stop surveying fucking planets and shit if there's, you can play forever at the end of the game. So we'll go knock out the story. So...
Okay.
I'm tired of my companions. So...
There's nothing to them. They're all just...
Yeah.
I hate to say, I mean, we've said it already, but I mean, these are paper-thin people with, that all have the same basic ethics. They just come from a different, place of it.
Yeah, there's no variety. So it's, do you want the whiny single lady, the cranky single lady, the guy with the kid, or the guy who always talks about food? So
which guy always talks about?
That's Barrett.
Oh.
So he always talks about food. So, and it's just like, stop it. No, we're not stopping over the God, stay in the car.
I didn't, dude.
Every time you bring him into Atlantis, it's like, oh, we should stop in here. So, it's just like
he did not travel with me.
I don't mind him, but I keep him on the ship because he's got really great ship stats. So,
sure.
Yeah.
But
I got a ship now that can have 9 people on it, and it's I don't even have to fight in it anymore. I mean, I just fly. So it's got all these fucking badass tracking turrets. So I had to make the whole thing so I could see the turrets from the cockpit because they're so much fun to watch.
Oh, well, that's cool. Actually. Yeah.
So anyway. I don't know. I just enjoy it. YouTube keeps poking at me though, man. It keeps throwing me shorts of Cyberpunk. So it's like, hey, go check this out. Go check it out, man. Go check it out. And I'm like, oh, I can't do it.
It's just how the schedule worked out. Yeah. If I'd finished this off here first, that then I would have gone to Cyberpunk, but I didn't have time to do that.
Right.
Cities came out, so I downloaded it, and
yeah,
it's just how it's going to be for right now.
I think, I got a little bit more Starfaring to do before I get into Skylines here, because I know, like I said, it's clicking on a button that says make 6 months disappear. So, because that's what's going to happen. I mean, there is only one other game that I've spent more time in than that one. So,
do you want me to guess?
I bet you can't guess it. So
Well, is it one of those games that you're doing for like your channel?
no, not even close, man. So not even close.
And it's not that railroad game?
No, no.
Give me a hint.
Um, without giving it away, it's kind of hard to give it away, not to give it away. So, it involves gunplay. So
I don't know.
it's Red Dead 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
I did 2 full fucking tours in that game, and I played Red Dead Online for about a year. So, yeah. And that one is just got like, it just barely ekes out Skylines at like some 800 some hours. So, just barely ekes it out. Now, like, I got a couple of the games, like, I do have a train game that's close. Transport Fever is close.
That's the game.
Yeah, that one's close. But that one, I would just let it run overnight so I can make money. So, yeah. So that one's kind of cheater. Yeah, I would AFK that game. So,
Now, all of this, of course, the problem with this is that this system, basically it's only going to be Steam games going forward in terms of hours played, right? What I can't do is I can't go back in time and say,
oh yeah,
you know, I can't look back at my
we can't look at our Black Ops days.
I can't say like my hours to burn days, my
Well, I mean, you and I played Black Ops every night for at least an hour or two for probably about 3 years, 2 years. So, because remember, we went through the Renaissance because we got bored of the game. And then we played zombies for months.
yeah.
And then we went back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe a year and a half. However long until the next title came out. So,
Dude, we were halfway tempted to go back to Black Ops while 3 was out.
I think we did for a bit. So, I think we did, especially when they put the reflex shot back in. So, I don't remember
so
though.
stupid.
It was stupid. Well, yeah, and people just get in there and cock block you. So, you know, yeah, I think we did for a little bit because that was a major flaw with 3.
They ended up changing that back.
They did.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. So, but like even then, prior to then, we played Halo on your couch for what, 3-4 years?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard for me to go in there and say, you know, which of these things. And that, I mean, the problem is that also excludes all of the old PC games, and you know, you're talking about if you were playing like Civilization 1 and 2 for a long time.
If there's any franchise out there that's
You know.
sucked the most hours out of me, it's definitely Civ. So, or
Yeah.
anything Sid Meier. So, because between Civ and Colonize, yeah, that's probably measurable in months, if not a year of my life. So,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's sort of so the thing there. Yeah. Okay. So if you jump in, it's going to say that my number 1 spot was Cities 1 at right around where you are. It's at like 777 hours,
Yeah,
somewhere around
yeah.
there, like 780, something like that. And you know, I mean, that's the other thing is, so it's got me clocked in, you know, some of the like fighting games, like Street Fighter games,
Oh,
for
yeah.
quite a bit, right? When I was playing online a lot, but nothing close.
yeah, see, Red Dead's not even on my
Nothing
Steam
close.
because I played that on Game Pass. So,
Oh, so you don't know?
oh, I did at the time. So,
Oh.
yeah. Because you can look that up on Game Pass. So I don't remember how, or maybe it's your Xbox profile. You can look that up on. I bet you my shit's
Yeah,
still
you know,
on
that's
there.
right.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I bet you that's still on there. Yeah, along with hundreds of hours of our Minecraft escapades. So
See, all right. The other thing is there's. I almost find it silly for us to actually differentiate the different Call of Duty games,
yeah,
right? Because
Yeah.
if I were to say, like, all right, well, so there's a section of my life, there's a like a 5-year period of my life where Call of Duty was always there.
Yeah, we played we played all of them. So I got on that bandwagon a little bit after you did. And I got off not very far, and I got off a little bit before you did, because you and Will played Advanced Warfare for a while. So
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
That game made me seasick. So
Well, there was that, and I did play a little bit of the remake of Modern Warfare,
yeah, I remember you showing me that one.
which was fine.
Oh, it's the one with the weird matchmaking.
It's not weird. It's actually what it's supposed to be.
Right,
It's
I
just the
know.
one
Yeah. You can't shoot little kids here, though, man. It's like, what do you mean we can't crash this kid's birthday party?
Yeah. There was no like Qzar fucking it up.
Oh, and did they ever?
So if you've never played before, okay, you guys need to come in here in the meeting. It's like, you guys have definitely played here before.
Yeah. Get out, Pat. I see you back there. I remember there was a time, I don't even know, man. I mean, we probably put in just as many hours playing Diablo. So, and some of those old games back then.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And we paid for it at that point in time, but like, I don't know, man. Like nowadays, it's like games come up, and right now I've kind of got too many on my plate, but I'm gonna
That's
play
the
them
problem.
all.
Yeah.
But like, there's so many other things that we missed. We missed Diablo 4. We missed Baldur's Gate. So
I hear it's great.
I hear it's great too.
But
so
yeah, I keep seeing people like post on it. It's like, this is actually really fun, and I I don't know. It's just like, I want to squeeze all this stuff. This just don't have time. It's
you're right. I know.
I
Yeah,
gotta
you gotta
work.
do adult and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's not the same. But there is like a piece of that I kind of like now, because it's like, all right, so there's a lot of new shit out. What do I feel like playing?
There is
You
that.
know?
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
like I gotta be blunt with you. After playing through The Witcher last spring, I was not down for more swords and boards. So for a little bit, I was like, I'm good on that for a while. All right. I've been zapped on World War II games for a couple of years now. So, except for like the shit that I do for my channel. So, but
That's different.
that stays over there.
Yeah,
That stays over there. But even like the last couple of times I tried to play like a big strategy type game, I was just like maybe an hour or two, and I was like, no, fuck this. I don't have the bandwidth for this anymore. So, I even tried playing Civ, like maybe like 2 months ago. So, because it was still on my drive.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I usually delete my games, so because I like to put them all on my SSD, so and that's not that big.
Sure.
So I think my SSD is 500 gig. So, so yeah, you run out of space. So if you keep all the big fucking games on there, so, yeah. So and they're all like 100 gig anyway, right? Skylines was like 60.
It was well, and there's a download right after that too.
Oh,
so
I think I probably have that queued up because mine already said play. So
okay,
yeah. So anyway, every time I open it up, it's teasing me with the green play button now. It says, "Come on, Pat, come on in. Give me 6 months."
Well, you don't have to. I mean, this is the.
But I'm going to.
I still argue. I mean, again, the appeal of cities, the thing that's worked for me over time was, yes, when I first started playing, there was an absolute addiction to it that I couldn't get around. Right, there was that internal challenge of quote unquote solving traffic, quote unquote, solving these problems, getting the city as thick and as dense and as populated as possible, because that, I don't know, I guess that meant something.
But then you change the more you play the game.
Yeah,
It's kind of like, this would be a shit place to live.
Yeah, exactly. You want to talk about living in a place where, God, I remember there was a time there when I was obsessed with making these individual like modules, where
Like city nodes.
sort of, yeah. Basically, yeah. If you look at it, it would be like looking at a it would be like looking at a wafer board, your motherboard. It would look like just just individual sections where every module has these things in it, right? And so it's like, it's kind of like, in Futurama when you reach that age and they put you in that
the Tombstone Town.
Yes.
Exactly.
So it's like, where do you live? It's like, well, I live on the corner of this and this,
right,
unit, 17, block 3,
right, yeah,
right? Because I was, completely working on efficiency. I remember that I this was at the time where instead of like direct like highways, right? I'd constructed what looked like a string of like chains.
What?
Yeah. So the way that it worked was, all right, so you do have highways, okay, and they're of course making these oblong circles, right? And what they would do is that these circles would link from place to place with a certain like round thing. So you're picturing it, right?
I can see it, yeah.
So you're essentially driving along a chain, and yes, people could move quickly. This was all, one way, material. So you get into this area, you would take this turn, you would just, take you could get everywhere, right? And it was efficient.
Yeah, but it's like all right-hand turns are banned, kind of thing, or left-hand turns are banned.
All left-hand turns are banned.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But the other thing is just, that was the question of, like, who the fuck would live here?
Yet nobody. Yeah.
Right.
So, well, people who didn't have passports or something. You never know. So, but, yeah. No, I mean, I don't know, man. I've built so many cities over the years that, like... So, the very first one that I tried playing it like SimCity, okay, which I was very, very good at. So, I built monstrous fucking cities in SimCity. And then you start to realize it's like, no, man, this is totally different. The traffic works different. The demand cycle works different. So money is way different. So it took me a little while. And then there was like one city that I built that was like that. But then I had the huge swath of industrial fucking wasteland in it. And then I kept getting frustrated because every time I'd solve a traffic problem, I'd create 3 more. So, yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, well, no, but I got to keep all the shitty parts of town and the part that I want to be shit town. So,
yes.
Yeah, not realizing that that's exactly not what you need to do in that game.
Yeah, exactly. It also required, maximum efficiency also required Herculean devastation to the landscape.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're like, I don't want hills. This decreases the amount of ploppable land.
Right,
I don't.
These backyards look fucked.
Things like that. So I was like, fuck that.
I did that in one of the first cities, and actually, I almost quit Skylines on my very first city because I had it on the European tiles.
Oh yeah.
And you can't change them, so it's all linked to the map. So at least early in the game, later on you could. So
that you can change like right off the beginning.
Yes. Oh, in Skylines too. That's
yes.
Nice.
You go in there and it says, "What do you want? Do you want European or North American? And
okay.
Which side of the road do you want to drive on?"
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So yeah, because I was doing it the other way, and I remember getting into trouble over and over again with the fucking terrain because it had this big hill in the middle of the map. And I kept going bankrupt, just thinking like, oh, well, bulldozing only costs $1, so not realizing that it's $1 per tick. So, and so you dig this hole to nowhere and go bankrupt, because I'm using the wrong tools. Like, how do I take that back? And it's like, ha, we got you, Pat. It's like, what the fuck do I do? So,
on top of that too, it has this, this mechanic where I get what they're trying to do, but that whole thing where it's like, dirt cannot be created or destroyed, only moved. So if you're going to bulldoze a hill,
one of the first mods that I got. Let's get rid of that fucking shit, man. Right? Yeah, it's like it's matter. It's gotta go somewhere.
Yeah. So you're looking at this like artificial island you created out there in the water,
Or this deep hole in the middle of the lake that you created
because you need more.
dirt. Yeah. It's like, boss, there's a whole bunch of dirt over. Yeah, that shit's expensive, man, and it fucks up the landscape. So
Exactly.
we're gonna dig in the middle of the lake.
And you got this like a hole so deep you can hear voices coming out of hell.
Right,
Listen, like what is it? Like the place where you throw the couch in and you never hear it hit the bottom. That place in Russia.
Oh, I thought that was in Washington.
Is it Washington?
I think it's
okay.
Washington. Yeah.
Okay.
So, God, I was listening to George Norrie the other day. So
that's an old story, man. I know that.
Yeah, that was back in the Art Bell days.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. So I can't remember what he was droning on about. So it was interesting. It was coming back from here. So on Sunday. Yeah, I don't remember what it was though. Anyway.
Yeah, good on you for modding that out, because
that had to go. So is that I only used a couple mods. That was one. I used the unlock all thing, which they baked into the game after a while.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I was like, fuck it, I don't care about the progression. So
yeah. Actually, that's one of the toggles in this one.
That's nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll do it through the skill tree, but the thing that sucked was it locked like really good things that were kind of like essential behind like this huge amount of city. So, and it's like, well, actually it would make sense if I had a 5,000 person town, if we had a rural little regional airport. It's like, no, you got to wait till it's 70,000. It's like, my machine can't take that. So,
okay, so it's not just that. I mean, that progression system sort of penalized you for trying to think progressively. So if you were actually trying to think of mass transit solutions ahead of time, it would be like, no, what we want you to do is rip all this shit out.
Yeah, we want to make them redo it over again. So it's like, well, there's no imminent domain cost here, so knock yourself out. So
I want to. I actually want to plan around, like a good city builder. I would want to plan around and say, all right, well, we want this. But yeah, so that is kind of. I guess I like the progression system, at least in the beginning there for a while, because to me, if it doesn't force me to use certain things in a certain way, I won't use them.
Yeah, no, me too.
So I got to learn what these things do.
Well, yeah, like in the first game, you had that point in time where it's like, all right, if we get any bigger, we're gonna need to start collecting garbage, and fuck that. So I'll just make another small little like 2,000 person town over here. So and you guys can throw all the garbage over the fence.
Yeah, dude, just things in the last game where it's like, so let me get this straight. I've got the trash incinerators next to the crematorium. Like, it's just, this is disgusting. It's like, it's like they're doing the recycling there. It's like, bodies go here, trash goes
there. Yeah, bring out your dead.
If you accidentally throw one in the other pile, that's fine. You can give somebody an urn of trash. Or
a body of garbage. Yeah.
I went to that part of town. I'm like, this place must stink. I'm like, this
is awful. There are seagulls all over the
place. And of course, because I haven't gotten so far enough to where it's like doing the public recreation and stuff, but it's that weird thing where it's like, why does the industrial area need parks?
Well, yeah, and it just murders the trees anyway.
I'm like, what is the point?
You get these purple sticks sticking out of the ground. It's like, this is hideous.
But you have to, otherwise it doesn't grow.
Right, yeah, I know.
So eventually, it's like, well, it's all basketball courts around here because there's no...
Because they don't turn purple.
Correct. Yeah. No, I do like... The other thing I do like is that sewage and water are tied into the road.
Oh, that's nice.
They're tied into the road. If you do need to build pipes to something, you can still build pipes to it, but...
yeah, it's under the road where it should be.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
And that is also how electricity transfers.
Oh, see, that's smart. So you don't have to build the actual, little lines that go to your house.
Correct.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. Then again, just quality of life things that...
I always thought it was kind of funny that you have these high-tension power lines that connect to Bob's house next door.
Unless they're touching.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
It's kind of like don't let your kids play in your backyard, do you? You know?
Sorry, man. We just can't get that power across the street.
You remember William's old house up in Fort Collins had those high tension power lines running down the middle of his street, and they would just all the time. Yeah. It was kind of creepy. It was like, I think I got some radiation poisoning. So,
I checked him every few months for tumors and shit. He seemed okay.
he'd check behind his ears. I hear that's when they start.
No, man, I gotcha. I mean, I think you'll dig it when you jump in. There's something I didn't know what to expect. I mean, you've been watching the videos on it, so I guess part of me was like, I haven't been watching the game itself, so I'm like, all right, you just take me wherever you're going to take me.
Sure.
And of course, like when it comes down to it, the grace of that game has always been the road building is what made SimCity obsolete, right?
Well, yeah, that's like every game you can kind of identify a core mechanic that's like this makes the game, and that's definitely that one is traffic management. And getting people from point A to point B efficiently with multiple methods, and if you want to try something fucking weird, go for it. So that's definitely the core mechanic. I mean, because you can really give a shit less about like the demand and everybody wants education. There's no trade-off there.
Right.
That you have to make, but like in traffic engineering, there's always a trade-off. There's always another way to do it. So but okay, so I want people who have elementary school education. I have one tool with which to fix this. So plop, done. So that part of the game was never really interesting. So, I mean, you did it when you could afford it. So, or if you didn't want it in a neighborhood because you wanted the neighborhood to be shit, you just
That's pretty much it. Yeah. I mean, the only other part of this would be, again, that would have to be like narrative play where you're like, you're jumping in here and you're thinking, what haven't I done?
Oh, yeah.
And a single word comes to your brain, and that word is Kentucky, and you just
well, all right.
You're like, I don't know. I haven't really tried to build a fucking like redneck racist.
Completely segregated, rural area. Yeah. Never tried that.
I haven't thought about that, but
I was thinking about your apartment game the other day.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a good idea. So, but you got to think of what's the core. And this was what I was trying to identify the other day. I was driving back, and this had come up in class somehow. Evictions had come up in class.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I was sitting there thinking about it. I was like, all right, so a game like that, what would actually be the fun thing to do? So, yeah. Would it be scratching that itch where you had a tenant that was a pain in the ass for like a year? So, and you finally got him, kind of like firing somebody?
Well, the way I picture this, right?
Yeah.
Is this all comes back to Donald Sterling, right? If you remember his story.
I don't.
Well, Donald Sterling was the former owner of the Clippers, right?
Oh, okay.
All right. Now, he's the one that said a bunch of weird racist things to his mistress, right?
Oh.
And eventually was forced to sell the team, right?
So he got ousted.
He got ousted, right? Now, granted, this isn't something where to me, it's like, yes, you have a racist owner. Okay, that's fine. All right, you want that. Whatever. That's okay. But, on the flip side, I don't have a whole lot of tears for him because when he bought the Clippers, it was for, a couple $1 million or something like that. When he sold it, it was for billions.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, all right, well, my heart's not really breaking for you. But it turns out that Donald Sterling made his bones by being a landlord.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
And it turned out that on top of that, he had a lot of racist policies back, as did a lot of people, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, so this must have been back in like 60s and 70s and shit. Yeah. This was in LA.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
And so the loop of this, the way that I saw it was, when you make these decisions, right? I wanted this with the repercussions of basically what happens to you in 2023? What happens to you? So if you go into this situation, all right, and if I go into this and I say, all right, I'm going to set these percentages with these different, racial or ethnic or whatever groups, right? So basically,
So you try and decide how many people or what kind of people lived in your building.
Correct.
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's not what I thought, but okay.
Well, now hold on. Okay, now you got to see where this goes, right? Okay, the whole thing is all of these things are going to have increased amount of risk, right?
Sure.
And there are going to be variables that pop in there and say like, all right, well, so okay, if you let these people in, right? This will, change the percentage of default. Also, right? This might also make other different kinds of tenants leave.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
So the ultimate thing here is you're trying to find this balance and say like, all right, well, there's an optimal solution to this.
Well, yeah, you get all the white people or the rich people.
This does this for me. However,
that makes you a racist.
What happens to you in 2023? Right?
Yeah.
And
I don't think. I mean, if you're the point behind the game is to make a political statement, not necessarily have something.
No, not at all.
Oh, really?
Not at all. No.
Oh, okay.
There's no the thing is, all right, because I'm not here to make a political statement on this. Let me say it this way: the reason that those people made those decisions at those times, right? Yeah, you could argue that, and you certainly can, that race is a factor in this.
Oh, sure.
You could also sit there and say like, all right, well, show me the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Well, the numbers also say this.
So would it be more like Papers, Please?
So, a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
See that's what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah. Because you got to look at each person.
Yeah, but I think it'd be funny if like, well, I don't know. I think so. Instantaneously, you'd be accused of racial bias if you put a game like that on Steam. But if you actually like delinked it from race and then just relinked it back to income, you'd get the same thing.
Well,
so you're like, let's take a look at your tenants. So would there be like a reveal at the end? It was like, this is how many white people live in your building. So
no, you would know.
Well, I don't know about that. I think the interesting thing was if you got blind applications in. So.
Oh no! See, to me, it's the thing that would be like the decision that you have to make is, all right. You take the pixel art, drawing in front of you, right? You have their numbers and you have their portrait in front of you.
Okay.
And you got to make calls on these people.
Right.
Right? You got to sit there and look at, okay, well, so here's their income and here's what they look like. And if it turns out there's a certain pattern that you have of like, wow, you're denying a lot of these people, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
That's what I'm saying there is like, you have to make that decision because... Yeah. Like you said, income has a lot to do with that, right?
So what would be random about it? You got to have some randomness in that. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Because here's the thing is to say that, okay, if you take this person in and they're in this income bracket, right, that is to argue that they're going to default. But that's just not true.
No.
Right?
I mean, so yeah, you'd have to like have other things in there. It's like, job history or... Well, that'd be interesting if you could pull a credit report on somebody who actually cost you money to do that.
This is what I'm talking about. These are the things that
So you hire a PI to follow them around for a week,
or you can make certain adjustments.
So what do you have to do after do you have to do any management on the back end? So
what kind of man? What are you talking about?
Well, this guy's faucet's busted. So this guy, all right, so he fits this income bracket, so he's highly paid, very stable in his job, but he's a royal pain in the ass because he calls you about everything.
Yes.
So he actually costs you money. So
I would give that as is sort of like an Oregon Trail 3 options.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Where it's
the banker from Boston or the carpenter.
Oh no. Like if you have that guy that's on your ass, right?
Okay.
Right. You have like 3 guys you can call, right?
Okay.
You can call my cousin John. Right. You can call like a professional contractor.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you could ignore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And the way that they, I'm sure there's a probability thing that I could work into it or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be part of it. And the The other thing would be sort of like if you remember like playing that Bullfrog game Theme Park, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you could adjust like the formula of the sodas and things like that, right? You could
So
say
you could change things with your bill. Actually, it would be really interesting if you could set the conditions of the lease.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Is just sit there and say it's like we'll take you, but you have to prepay the first 3 months.
Yeah. So and so some people who are probably really good would tell you to fuck off at that point in time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but you might just tease out that one guy who just does need a second chance. That'd be interesting.
That's what I'm saying.
So there's got to be a fun mechanic in there, though. So like a fundamentally thing that's like, all right, what's the traffic management of this game?
Well, that's okay. The traffic management. All right. So if you break it down and you say you play optimally.
Okay.
Right. If you were to sit there and hedge your bets and say like I would do this.
Yeah.
Right. So you would make money.
Right.
Right. Which, that's the gameplay loop is to make money.
Okay.
Right. Be able to possibly buy more things or whatever. And, there's a question of like down the road, how are you viewed? Right. You could also sit there and say like,
how are you? So there's like a reveal at the end. BLM shows up and tears your fucking shit down. I mean, so you'd have to have a turn limit on the game,
right?
Yeah, okay,
right.
But yeah, I mean, people would learn to avoid that mechanic real fast. So
they would or they wouldn't. This is the other thing: is you can go on the flip side and you could say, all right, well then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do what I think is the ethical thing, right? All the way through, right?
I think that's more interesting because you could have people like beg you, who's like, hey man, I'm down on my luck, I just need a second chance, yada yada, and could be completely full of shit. But does that actually affect the way that you treat the next person who actually says that?
That's the question.
Right, yeah. I think that would be the interest.
That's up to you.
Well, that's Papers, Please. That's exactly how that game works too. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that was basically the that was essentially the loop because in that game, yes, it terminates at that same point, right?
So you play for a set number of turns.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah, it was a very like a simple idea, but it's I don't want to. All right. There's no like real lesson in terms of like, wow, this was the right thing to do or whatever, because I'd like the opportunity, to sit there and say, like, I don't want you to sympathize with racists, but what I want you to do is look at when you mix ethics with business.
It's hard.
Right? And you expect that everyone comes out on the other end clean as a whistle.
Yeah.
Right? That was always the dilemma. Right?
Well, it's like people see landlords as these snidely mustache twirling guys. Yeah. So, and it's like, actually, it's a shitty job. So you can make a lot of money doing it, but you have to make decisions like this all the time. So yeah, business ethics is not something that makes for good gameplay, I've noticed. So since like even in Starfield, I've noticed just about every industrialist / person of power that you run into is basically a sleazeball.
They're a cartoon.
They are a cartoon with maybe the exceptional Walter. So yeah, he's okay. So did you ever play the Vanguard missions in that one? Did you meet Admiral Obama? Not Admiral Matumbo. That's a different guy.
No, I
okay.
didn't.
All right.
Yeah.
There's a guy in there. He's probably the most evil guy in the game, but I props that they really did make him look like Obama. Because I've heard that criticism for a few years now. There's no bad black guys in any game. It's like, well, there's one right there. So, no, that would be an interesting mechanic, though. So, because you'd have to make some like really shit decisions from time to time. It's like, so you got a grandma who's like, 80 and on fixed income. And everybody else around her has got, paying like $300 extra a month in rent. And here you are going bankrupt because she's on the phone all the time complaining about her toilet. But she's not going to find another place in town, so what the fuck do you do? So,
these are exactly the circumstances I was thinking about. It was like, same thing, it's like, I've got a good person here. They always pay their rent, but they're running an illegal daycare in.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, or they smoke weed all the time. Yeah, and it's a 420 friendly state, but all the neighbors bitch about it. So,
in the 70s?
Oh, this is going to be in the 70s?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to set it back there. Oh, see, that's interesting. Just don't use any of the music.
Oh, no. That's why I'm saying this is how the actions that you took, that's where the thesis comes from is, all right, if you did this, like Donald Sterling did this shit in the 60s and the 70s.
How would you do it?
Right?
Yeah, right.
And he popped out in 2023. It's like, you're a racist. Now, again, to him, it's like, look, I get it.
Yeah.
But it was a different time, guys.
Right.
Right? And there's this part where you're trying to say, like, is there a balance? Is there a balance where you can find... ultimately, you're saying, like, is one incursion, right, a compromise? Well, if it is, your ass is broke. Unless you got really lucky, right? And all these people worked out.
Yeah.
Right? And it got you to be, it got you, to float.
Right.
Right? That's the idea of it.
Okay, I got it.
And, of course, there's the fun part of looking people... Or let's say you did want to play it dirty. Let's say you wanted to...
Yeah.
You wanted to be that guy. You wanted to...
Yeah.
By all means, play it through. Play it through a different way. Play it through the perspective of...
Yeah. Oh... Yeah, I can see there'd be a couple pretty cool mechanics in there. I don't know, man.
I mean, let me put it to you this way, Patrick. What was the premise of Three's Company, the TV show?
I don't know. I don't remember. So
all right.
All I remember is that Suzanne Summers died the other day, so I did see that.
She did.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. But the premise of this was, all right. So Jack Tripper was going to be the roommate of these two women that he knew. They were his friends, right?
Right.
Okay. That wasn't allowed at the time.
Right.
Right? Because they didn't want unmarried people living together.
That was Don Knotts' role as the antagonist, right?
Don Knotts, I believe, was the second one. Because, at first he was Mr. Roper, and I think
Mr. Roper, yeah.
And Mr. Furley was the other guy, but I can't remember who that was. But there were two guys, either way. So, in order to make that work, Jack Tripper had to pretend he was gay.
Oh, okay.
Right? That was why he's like, oh, that's why you can live with these two women.
Right.
So, Jack Tripper being a total horn dog, he would go after every woman that he could, but around Mr. Roper or whatever, he had to be gay. He had to be flamboyant.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Right? And this is what I'm talking about, is go into that same time period and say, like, I have to enforce this?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, landlord would be a good way to do it. So yeah, it's not quite as on the nose as being a cop or something. So
no, and I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to, play with that. I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want to do something where I'm like, well, I'm gonna let you go because it's Christmas.
Yeah, keep your nose clean, kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Don't let me see you around here again.
Yeah.
Say hi to your mom for me.
You'd have to manage enough tenants to make it interesting. So
yes,
yeah. So like not like a 1,200 block of the PJs, So but it'd have to be several dozen.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
And the other mechanic on that is basically like people getting wind of what you do.
Exactly.
So if you cut somebody some slack,
they'll find it's not. There's a chance that other people will find out. Yeah, exactly. And then that So yeah. Yeah, so I think the whole point of the game would be to try and like, so your natural, like, okay, I'm going to fix the traffic kind of thing is to play it as straight as possible and then make that as impossible as possible. So does that make sense?
To basically so to do things optimally, right? If you just say what is optimal, you say, well, to make the most money.
Right.
Then what you'd have to do to make the most money, on average, are things that you would probably find reprehensible in real life.
Yeah, so you're using money as the bait. So saying that the money is actually the optimal way to play, but actually the optimal way to play is ethically. So
is it?
Well, I would imagine so.
Well, in terms of the loop, if you're trying to...
Sure.
If you're trying to You know, if you're trying to.
Well, yeah. So, but I can see, like, I mean, I'm just thinking of my German students, so because I've done a lot of fucking game design at work.
Yeah.
And so my German students, they will zero in. Okay, what are the victory points? You know, and so if you put out these are the victory points, or they appear to be the victory points right off the bat.
Yeah.
Okay, that's when people like actually have to think outside of the comfort zone once they realize it's like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't working, or this has an externality that I wasn't aware of. So yeah,
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you play it optimally, right, there are consequences. Can you live with those consequences? Okay, well, that's up to you.
maybe
right?
maybe not. You know,
If you play it, ethically, there are consequences. You may lose by turn 3, right?
you might.
You don't know.
Well, if there's a lose condition.
Oh, there are lose conditions. Like, so, the game can be interrupted prior to the turn's ending because you're fucking done. You're kaput.
What, out of money?
Yeah.
Maybe. You could cash flow the next month.
Well,
That would actually lead you to make worse decisions.
well, that's what I'm saying. Eventually, that comes to a different point. That comes to a
I
place
gotcha,
where,
I gotcha.
yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I don't remember how that came up the other day. We were talking about evictions.
I know that we were talking about how difficult it is for people to actually evict someone.
It is really hard. So, yeah. It's really, really hard. There's a lot of laws. So, regardless of where you're living that kind of surround that. So, I mean, like, think about the old Disney cartoon back in the 20s where it's the sheriff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There have been laws around that for a long time. So, I don't remember how it came up in class, though. I don't think someone was getting evicted. So,
No, I know that we were talking about it, but
maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if it came up any other particular time. But
No, we were talking about eviction the other day. So, yeah, in fact, I know what it is now. So, it's the guy, his girlfriend was getting evicted.
Oh, no.
So, well, she was curious about what the process was. So, which means she's probably getting evicted. So,
It's not something people casually ask about. It's like when somebody asks you, like, hey, man, it's like, yeah, what kind of hoops do you have to jump through to get an EBT card? Just asking, right? I don't think anybody's really just like, do you need food?
Yeah, are you hungry?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one time in my life where we actually qualified for food stamps. I'm trying to remember when that was. Must have been when we were first married. I remember they asked me when I went to renew my driver's license. So
Why would they ask you that?
I don't know. So
Why would they ask you that?
I can't remember. Maybe it was just something they were doing back then. I don't know. So
I don't ever remember that being solicited. I don't remember anyone. I don't know, man. I'm trying to. So if I'm going by the things that I remember having to do. So yeah, you go to the driver's license. They have you take the little eye test, right? I remember taking the driving test back in the day.
yeah.
I remember on my 18th birthday, you go register for selective service.
Oh yeah.
I presume they still do that, yeah?
Oh yeah. So that's
the post
become
office,
relevant lately.
Oh,
Oh no, they mail it to you now.
Mail it to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they mail it to you now.
I remember
So
they just
find you.
they just ran that commercials for years. It's just like, it's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
And it's the law, yeah. And you might get drafted.
They don't
They don't say that part.
They had a little cartoon guy on there. It's partly like it had kind of like a Louis the Lightning Bug feel to it.
I'm a federal bill. Yeah.
That's a little different.
That one's a little bit
Yeah,
different,
yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I don't remember. It was something. You know what? Maybe it wasn't. No, it was when I was applying for unemployment. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't a DMV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So there was actually, yeah, I think I've gotten a grand total of like 3 unemployment checks in my entire life. So, and that one of them was after I got laid off after 9/11. That's exactly what it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I got all those COVID ones.
those aren't the ones that mattered, where it was like, oh, I've been on, those, they just sent those to you. This one, you actually had to go apply, and then you had to call up. Well, you did that for a bit, didn't you? Where you had to say, oh, I was looking for work this week.
Well, they just ask you on the website.
Yeah, okay, so back in the day when I was on unemployment,
Yeah.
you had to call. So there was no website.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you would do is you go on the website. So each week,
Right.
you would and you would want to, of course, apply. You just go on Indeed or whatever and apply for 5 things or whatever, and you just copy and paste that into like a Word document. They said, we can audit you for this anytime. It's like, hey, no worries, I got this here, and you'd mark what the result was. And yeah, each week it would just ask like, did you do this? Like, yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, that wasn't through the unemployment office, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the stimulus money.
Oh, no. It's just
Your Trump and Biden bucks. So
no, that's different. Yeah,
that was
this was
different.
the
That they
whole
just gave to
COVID
you.
unemployment, man.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because they extended it for like, what was it, like 50 some weeks?
Yeah.
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 Me and Will both did it.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys both got laid off. So
Yeah.
Yeah. COVID's coming back though, man. So I was up seeing my mom today. So they said, put this on your face. So I was like, okay, I want to go see my mom.
Yeah, look, I'll comply.
Yeah.
With that. It's the data's come out. It's got nothing to do with it.
What, the mask?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know that. So,
Nothing to do with it.
But the from what I understand, is the current strain of it's not that bad either. So it's kind of mellowed out quite a bit.
It has to.
Well, yeah, otherwise
Yeah.
it would kill people. So yeah, it said each iteration of disease becomes less lethal than the one before, unlike the game Pandemic. So
Right, because unlike diseases where a person is actually, pressing the buttons, right? Disease. That's the thing about diseases.
right, yeah, exactly.
They don't choose. They don't.
No, they're manipulated. Yeah.
No, I gotcha. Like, COVID's just a thing. It's just a strain. It's just
It's the flu.
it's an illness that got us.
It's the flu.
We made it.
Yeah.
And much like before,
Yeah, even Joe Biden lived through it twice. Crazy. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's. I'm glad that I don't think there's any possible way at this point where people would stir themselves up into that same kind of frenzy that they did last time.
no, that ship
Never
sailed.
again. No.
Yeah.
Not
And it's
our
kind of
lifetime.
surprising how sticky some of those lessons are. Like the whole Israel thing. There's a whole bunch of people out there, and I'm not talking about your weirdo lefties out there who are flying Pakistani flag, or I mean Palestinian flags all over the Twitter now. I'm talking about people who are kind of like middle of the road or even a little bit right, who are kind of like, hey man, we did this back in 2001. You might want to take it a little easy and just take some time and think about what it is that you're going to do before you do it. And so that was 20 fucking years ago. So yeah, I think the COVID lesson will probably stick around quite a while too. So next time anything like that happens, if it actually happens, because they were talking about it the other day, about how rare, pandemics like that really are. They're very rare. So they don't happen very often at all. So yeah, hopefully we won't see another one. So at least in our lifetimes, but you never know. So
Well,
the odds are good. So
the odds are good. The point I would make on this here is that for everything that happened, if we learned the right lessons from COVID, we'll be fine.
yeah,
Right? But there are certain things where, we have to evaluate and say, like, what worked and what didn't work.
Sure.
And did a totalitarian lockdown of things solve problems?
decidedly not.
No.
It will not happen again. So yeah. I mean, even in your bluest of blue states, if someone tried to do a full-blown lockdown again, People be in the fucking streets in 5 minutes. So, yeah, it's like, no, man, we're not doing the stupidness again. So,
I mean, there are still plenty of Australians that feel like their absolute horrifying camp situation of dealing with the problem was effective, but
yeah, not the ones that I've seen on the Twitter. Granted, my Australian sampling of folks is quite small, but
yeah, and I don't obviously I don't keep in contact with any of these people, but the fact that that happened is something that, in hindsight, look, let me just put it this way: it sure as shit didn't help the Chinese.
No,
And they were possibly the worst about it.
They were the worst.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I can't think of a place in the United States where they welded you shut in your house. So,
I know people wanted. Some folks wanted.
Nobody was going.
To do that.
Yeah, no government official was going to do that. So, in the United States, and then, yeah, like even the China guys had that show where they're driving around in Malibu, during the height of the pandemic, and they're like, "Oh, this place is way more open than China is." Yeah. So, it's crazy, man. Yeah, absolutely nuts. So, no, it won't happen again like that, man. So, too many people took the right lesson. You know what? And then on top of that, the people who suffered the most from that entire thing are the kids. And so they're gonna remember that when it comes down the pipe, because
test data proves it.
Well, yeah, I don't really give a fuck about test data. It's all fake anyway. So, but the overwhelming sentiment that I get from the generation, which is only like 2 or 3 years worth of students who had to spend their high school years in fucking COVID lockdowns, is that never again.
What a shame. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty awful.
What
man.
a fucking shame.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to just going back on those last few years, because there's no two ways around it. I actually enjoyed the last few years of high school, right? It really did. Number one, it wasn't middle school, right? It has that much going for it by
that's quite a bit
to start.
Yeah.
I graduated with so the class above me, the class ahead of me, they were a little bit fighty.
Yeah.
Right? They were a little bit fighty.
Yep.
So the ones below you but above me were a little bit fighty.
Yeah.
You guys seem cool, right?
We were very chill.
Yeah, but the ones in between, they're a little bit, grouchy. But my class, not a problem, right? I'm just trying to think of those, that last year or that last year and a half, if I had to sacrifice those things and it was just, no, you do this from home. We don't want you to socialize.
Yeah.
Don't get in the car together.
Yeah.
Concerts are canceled. Sure. All this other, everything I can remember doing that was, fun and social back then. And just imagining all that gone.
Well, I mean, fair, all right, but that's nothing different than, generations of people going through when wars broken out. So,
Roger that. Don't.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean,
but I'm just saying that would have sucked.
Totally would have sucked. So, But me and my laptop class cohorts were like, oh, yeah, being at fucking home at Zoom is fucking great.
Changed my life.
Yeah, it changed my life. I can wear shorts for every day now. This is fucking great. So, yeah. Yeah, but I've learned not to listen to my cohorts about things lately. So.
The younger or older?
The same age as me. So, we are a diverse lot. So, we got a lot of whiners who don't want to fucking work. So,
what is the impetus of their whining?
I don't know, man. It just didn't work out. My Bitcoin didn't turn out to be worth millions of dollars. My job actually sucked, and so I quit it during COVID. Now I can't find a better one.
All right.
So, it's like blah, blah, blah. And then, people who are slightly younger than me are worse. So the kids that I teach right now, they're fucking great. So they've done their war, man. They're like, yeah, okay, we're not doing that. No, I want to work at work. It's like, all right, you'll be fine. In fact, you're probably going to make more than me.
I mean, it could. I mean, if that ends up being the... All right.
if you want to actually go to an office every single day, okay, and actually show up, you're going to make more money than someone who sits in front of a laptop. Just because people want that. So bosses want that, customers want that, employees want that. So if you're willing to do that, you're going to make more.
I guess you're probably right in that regard, but I guess the other way that I was seeing it was, all right, so when it comes down to it, who are you going to promote?
What?
Are you going to promote the guy that's in the office, or are you going to promote the guy that works?
Oh, the guy in the office, hands fucking down.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
unless everybody's out of the office, and there's a few places like that,
But that's different. You're built for that. You have your own internal.
Yeah. But by nature, those jobs are going to pay less than the ones for the people who actually are willing to go in and pull 60-hour work weeks.
Right.
So.
Right.
And the students that I have nowadays, they want to go do the 60-hour work weeks. So I don't have that same like fucking, me time is really important kind of thing that was going on like 5 years ago. So it's
really?
like, oh yeah, it's all about work-life balance. It's like that doesn't fucking exist. So it's good about unicorns and farts again,
You think so? They really? You say that they've turned the corner. Their nose to the grindstone.
My students are.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, they are. So yeah, no, they work harder than. This generation, I'd say the cohorts that I have right now are harder working than the ones that I've had over the last 5 years. So that's for sure. Yeah.
It's funny. Why did they turn that corner?
Probably because COVID. So
is that it? Is this that bad times create strong men kind of?
I don't think it's that. I think it's like I actually want to live a real life, not one that's completely in front of a computer screen all day. So it's more so as like I don't have friends. I don't have all these colleagues and coworkers that you guys all have and stuff like that. So,
okay.
I mean, I want to do some adulting. So it's completely different than it was pre-COVID. So where everybody was trying to scheme. Before COVID, everybody was trying to run some kind of hustle. Okay, how do I get rich without having to work? That was the theme. So it was like, I'm going to flip houses. I'm going to buy NFTs. I'm going to do some bullshit, and now like this generation is like, all that's bullshit. All you need to do is get a job. So, and there's lots of them out there right now. Go get one. So it's going to be the richest generation we've ever seen. So
that remains to be seen. That depends.
Actually, we're probably going to be the richest generation.
Ultimately, the question is going to be how. It's really going to be based on how inflation handles. Really, that's
inflation will be fine. So the numbers are down, bro. They're trending down. So they're back down to where they were before the pandemic. So prices aren't, but inflation is. That means it's not growing. So prices will never go back to where they were before COVID.
That's a problem.
We'll get used to it.
Wait, talking to me?
Well, I'm used to it now. So I got a raise though. So not a good sample.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Like this is like fucking you can pay for pizza in 6 easy payments now. So I mean, like,
right, yeah.
Like
the prices aren't going back down though, man. The prices are ratcheting in effect. The only way that prices go down is if demand goes down. If people say fuck it, I'm not buying pizza anymore, then the prices will go down. So, but companies won't ratchet down the prices voluntarily. So,
yeah, I got you. I mean, but that's the thing is like you can earn more money and that's fine. But if shit costs more, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still making plenty of money. So,
But what can you get? I mean, that's the thing. They like people can't buy houses right now.
Houses are a problem. That's why I said the other day, build fucking houses. So that's the solution. So,
well, yeah, have more of them. Yeah, so that
correct.
brings down the price.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally understand that, right? But that's not the case they have right now, right? So it's not.
And it depends on where you live too. So,
of course, yeah.
I mean, my house has depreciated quite a bit. And then I'd say in the last 2 years, year and a half. So,
yeah, that sucks.
It's fine, man, because it went up like fucking 200% over the last 4 years, 5 years. So I'll take a 15% haircut on the back end to get that, kind of gain on the front end. Fuck it. I'm still way far ahead.
Nobody wants to lose value on their home or any of that kind of stuff.
No, I get that.
Nobody wants to be able to not afford shit. I mean, that's the thing here is like, is you know, again, people are making more money, but it's how far can that money go? And that is a big problem right now.
It is, but it depends on what you're trying to buy too. So, food's a problem only if you're eating out. So
that's not the only place it's a problem.
It's not what the fucking charts say, man. So they say
look the same charts as you. Fucking food's expensive.
It depends on what you're buying. If you're buying prepackaged shit that's manufactured in the United States, it's fucking expensive. So, if you're buying anything else that, is coming through the traditional pipelines that it was before, it's cheap. So,
all right, let me put it to you.
Milk, meat, eggs, cheese, they're all the same as they were before COVID. So,
all right, let me throw this out here.
Sure.
Okay? All right. And that is absolutely 100% not true.
Okay, maybe on an aggregate level it is. So, like how much difference? It's not like 200% more expensive. So
I can tell you like for like item what they cost before COVID and what I pay for them now.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm going to go buy like a roast from the same store that I bought it from before, that's like $30.
A roast is $30 fucking dollars? What the fuck kind of roast? I pay $15 for a roast.
Like this?
Okay, yeah.
Not this?
Like,
yeah. Like $30. How much would you pay for 3 fresh chicken breasts, no bone?
$20.
For 3 chicken breasts?
Well, yeah, the packs of 3? Yeah, sure.
There's just 3 total breasts in there.
Oh, no, I thought it was 6. So,
No.
I don't know, man. So, yeah, like I look at my aggregate grocery bill, it has not changed. So, that much. So.
All right, I go once a week, okay? So I'll use this, we'll use this for a practical example, okay? One person, okay? 1 weekly trip, okay, for groceries, okay? What would you expect a person to spend per week?
115 to 120 bucks.
Why?
Well, I don't know. That's what I used to spend.
Here's the question.
Yeah.
Why should it be 115 to 120? What's in there that gets you 115 to 120? What's in there? What are you buying?
Meat, vegetables. So, yeah, cheese.
Okay, so
eggs,
bread. So like there's some milk in there.
Sure.
Okay. There's some cheese. Yeah. There's some bread, right? Okay. There's box of cereal.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So nothing.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper every now and then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
It's going to depend on if you're buying coffee that week, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's going to be up, or if you need certain things like this, right? That trip, okay, pre-COVID, yeah, about $95.
Okay, so that's $20 difference.
Okay, so now it's about $125, $135.
Okay, so all right, $30 difference
What's the percentage though?
on that.
What's the percentage increase?
About 25%.
Okay, and multiply that times 52.
Right, but percentage increase across the board is regardless of the time period in which you spend it. Whether you do it in a week or a year, it's still 25%.
No, I totally understand.
Okay. You're talking about the gross dollars being a lot more. Yeah, no, okay, fine. It's more expensive. So, I don't think it's really affecting people that much.
Are you fucking...
I don't know where you're seeing this. Who's fucking complaining about this? Where are they? My students don't complain about it. They're fucking broke. So I use those guys as my dipstick for poverty.
Well, look, all right, so in the first place, all right, you could argue that, all right, so number one, if they're attending college, then I don't know. You could sit there and say, like, I don't know what bracket they go into. I know. And there's all sorts of, right? And I was a quote-unquote broke college student at times, too, here and things like that, all right? But, yeah, if you're talking about, 25% just on food, that's a huge hit.
Yeah, but if you're making 25% more, I don't think you really feel it.
But I don't think people are making 25% more.
I think it depends on where you are and what you do. So if you're in the trades, you're absolutely making that much more.
If you're in the trades, but most people aren't in the trades.
I know, that's because most people have bullshit jobs out there that are in offices that aren't going to actually increase. They need to go into the trades and get a better job. All you have to do is raise your hand and you can get a better job now.
I'm not arguing with you on that. But what I'm telling you is I'm talking about.
I mean, my God, your brother's a perfect example of that.
How so?
Well, I mean, he retooled on a skill in what, 6 months? So
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome, man.
Though.
Huh?
They laid off a ton of people.
Yeah, that's because they're bullshit jobs, man. So I have a bullshit job. Mine's just protected. So, but I mean, if you get to
2 bullshit jobs.
Well, see, but you're nimble on your feet. You can have as many bullshit jobs as you want. So, yeah. So, and I think, like, there's a lot of people out there, and I hear them on the radio with Dave Ramsey every single day, who's like, it's different than it was before. I want it to go back to the way it was. Okay?
Okay, yes. That's,
and we're like, okay.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity out there, brother. So, go pursue it. It's a fantastic time to actually, like, take a look at, if you're in one of these jobs where you're getting a 3% COLA every year, you're fucked. Okay, so, teacher pensions and shit like that. If you're in that field, okay, fine. All right, you better make do. And yeah, you're going to complain about the price of groceries because you're not willing to change your job. So, but when I'm dealing with people every single day who basically live off ramen and whatever's left in the cafeteria, and they don't bitch about the price of Taco Bell, that, okay, something's not computing here. So,
But that's okay. Look, let me put it this way. All right, the amount of bitching is not necessarily commensurate to what's actually going on.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to say this: when I worked with, okay, so.
So if I work for an airline, I know what bitching means.
You do. All right. So yeah. Okay. I don't want to preach the absolute choir on this here, but just for example, like when I jumped in with Baker, right? This was after they'd had that last round of layoffs and then brought people in.
Right.
Right. So all these guys were sitting there bemoaning the fact that they're like, yeah, but you don't believe what we were pulling in.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But from my standpoint, I'm sitting there like, you get paid all this money to do this work.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. No problem. Right. But for them, right, it was like you were talking about, what we want is a time machine, and we want we want to go back 2 years, and we want to go ahead and change geopolitical situations to make us, in this position. Yes, I get it. That's stupid, right? But at the same time,
I think it's a legit, it's a legit desire. So,
Sure.
it'd be great. So,
well, the desire is I want the same thing I was getting without having to change anything.
Well, no, I want to keep my big paycheck and spend it using those prices. That's what people.
Well, exactly. It's like I don't want to have to change.
Yeah.
And I want all those things that I had without having to do anything differently.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So what that really boils down to is like, why do the kids get all the lollipops and ice cream? All right, I get it. I get it. No, it's not a news story.
Yeah.
All right. But watching people bitch about this, right? The level of bitching to me doesn't necessarily indicate how people are having a problem. What I can say is back then there was no Affirm. There was no, paying for things on quad pay. There was
that's true.
That's true. This is what I'm talking about here is like if you look at
But there were payday loans. I wonder how much of that's been eaten up by payday loans.
I hope all of it. Payday loans are so
you should make a payday loan game.
That'd
be kind of fun.
It's exploited by nature. It's but so I mean, what I'm saying here is like realistically, like I guess the best thing you could look at is probably find that statistic that says not just the paycheck to paycheck.
How many people can rub two nickels together, basically,
Essentially. Now, again, I understand that doesn't necessarily measure everything because a lot of that is like, well, what did you buy?
Yeah, well, that's most of it, actually. Almost everybody lives paycheck to paycheck, okay?
Right.
So, but you ask one guy who's making $150,000, oh, yeah, I live paycheck to paycheck, but he's putting $2,000 a month into his 401k. That's not exactly living paycheck to paycheck.
Exactly.
But he's going to say it that way because he's left with no nickels left to rub at the end of the month.
Right. And the
Okay.
same thing goes. It's like, well, what was your paycheck? $6,500. Well, what did you buy?
Right, yeah, exactly. So, oh, you're rolling around in a brand new Tundra. Got it. You know?
And he's not going to say like, oh, well, I just bought this. It's like, no, you're making these payments.
Right, yeah.
That's what everybody does. It's all
Yeah,
financed
yeah.
out. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. The question would be, has that increased or decreased?
That part has increased. So there are certain parts of the economy that are really problematic due to inflation. I don't think like basic staples are that. It's more so like cars. Cars are ridiculously expensive now.
Yeah, that's wild.
Well, and that's the whole thing about this strike too. That's about to be resolved because they're like, oh well, yeah, the handwriting's kind of on the wall. And so like the other day I was talking about EVs.
Yeah,
I have updated my priors on that again. I don't know if that's actually going to go that way now.
Why? What's the story?
Well, I went and looked at the new Toyota. Sorry, I mean the new Ford F-150 Lightning. That motherfucker's $80,000.
Yeah, but you get credits off of it.
Okay, so I mean,
It's not as though that
it's not going to bring it down to 25 where I was in the market.
Yeah, they don't. The government doesn't take $60,000 of that off for you. No.
No. And so that's ridiculous, man. And so until they actually get car prices down a little bit, yeah, I mean that's a huge one. Houses are another one. There's two that are actually decreasing. The one is the one that nobody fucking talks about. College tuition is going down fast. And so
Really?
yeah, there are a lot of people who are not enrolling in college. So
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't have expected it.
I wouldn't have either. So, but college tuitions are down almost across the board. So, and they're it's decreasing at an increasing rate. So, yeah. So, unlike the Bitcoins or whatever, So, but anyway, that's the whole point behind that, man. Is like things that used to be cheap are not going to be cheap anymore, and there's going to be some things that are expensive that everybody was complaining about that are not going to be as expensive. Healthcare is another one. So, because that whole thing, one of the sneaky things that they got into one of the Biden bills, I don't know which one it is, but they finally broke that Medicare monopoly. So, and they said,
okay.
no, actually, Medicare is going to negotiate for drug prices. And so drug prices have been coming down.
Good.
Well, yeah, that's great. But cars are expensive, and you need one of those too. So,
Yes, that's also true.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a problem with food being expensive because it's made here. I don't mind paying extra money for shit that's made in the United States.
I'll give you that because, in theory, that means that the people that are producing that are getting paid more.
Correct.
Right?
I'm not paying more for my fucking Samsung TV though. So that's coming from China. No way.
Samsung, no, that comes from Korea.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a TV that's made in China. Which one is it? I don't know. I had to look it up.
Who makes the TV? What's the brand?
It's that XO, whatever it is.
XO?
I know the logo. I don't know what it's called. So yeah. Anyway.
Text it to me. I'm curious.
Okay.
Samsungs and LGs. Those are both Koreans.
Made in Korea.
If it's Sony, Hitachi, those
Those
are
are Japan.
Mitsubishi. Those are all Japan.
Mitsubishi makes TVs?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, used to at least. They probably still do, but. Well, we talked about them. They're fucking the Zaibatsus. They make everything.
They do. They make a little bit everything from submarines to flat screen TVs. It's
The
warplanes.
it's insane. Well, they say like, well, where do they make most of their money? Banking.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. They just bankroll smaller businesses. So
They bankroll their own businesses. I mean, it's.
they bankroll the government.
I cannot believe the amount of pressure that these companies exert, and how it's seen as like a good thing. I saw. It's so funny that they have categories now for what do they call them? They call them like black businesses.
I don't know this.
Yeah, this is basically like so that shit where they used to be like a running joke. They're just kind of like, oh well, you're working at a Japanese company and you're doing 40 hours of unpaid overtime and you have to go drinking with the boss every single night and et cetera, right? And the fucking it's the bosses in order to show what's going on. They have to make an example of you and you know, that kind of stuff. Those are known as black businesses.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and those are the ones that, if it's known, that shit is getting stamped out. They're like, no, this is a terrible company. You people are evil.
By who?
By society. This is like their actual, like, there is some social change when it comes to the actual, like, the way that the businesses are developing. They're not quite. So they used to be worse than they are now. That's starting to relieve some.
Yeah,
right?
they're not quite as. I mean, it's not the 2000s or the late 1990s where it's, you know, Gordon Gekko 2.0.
Right, but Japanese, yeah.
Oh, this is in Japan?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was here too.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That makes sense in Japan though. So because, you know, they're funny because like South Korea and the United States almost always fight for top productivity spots. But you think Japan would be right there, but it's not, you know, and that's because there's a lot of make work. So there's a lot of
bullshit.
Yeah, it's just bullshit jobs, man. So, but your company makes money, so they're gonna make you sit at this desk for the next 30 years before you get, you know, close to a corporate office, you know, kind of thing. It's a different mentality, man. So,
and that's the funny thing about it is they sit there and break it down and they say like that's why they say like, well, where does this stupid culture come from, right? And
it's Confucian, man.
Well, it partially is. It's that's one of the things that I saw where like there came a point where their God became productivity, right? Or at least the appearance of it.
Yeah,
right
after the war.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you think about it, I'm like, well, I guess that makes perfect sense, but that was a while ago.
Yeah, but I mean, so I haven't read too much history on Japan in that period, but there's some interesting stuff that you can read about war guilt in particular. And so there was like this debt that they had to pay off to the world, so to speak, but more so to their own people. So, because, you know, Pearl Harbor, worst mistake in military history. At least top 5.
I guess I have my question. What would be the runner-up?
I don't know. I mean, there was one guy who poked Genghis Khan with a stick. So
You did?
Well, yeah, he was like this guy, and he was in between, you know, China and Iran.
Oh,
yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. Dan Carlin told the story better than anybody else.
The guy who got like rolled up in the carpet and then
and tossed it, and they beat him. They rolled him in the carpet, beat him to death, and threw him in a river. That was, and that opened the floodgates, which led to the next 80 years of bloodbath across like 3 continents. So that one's probably number 1, you know. So
the guy who just happened to have a go fuck yourself, like loaded in his back pocket, and he's like, whoever comes up to me next is catching it.
Happened to be that guy.
And yeah, he's just the Mongols came and like, so we're here for your pots and pans, and and you know, precious metals if you got them, and we're cool. And so that dude unloaded. Or maybe that's the classic like the state representative that gets pulled over when he's drunk as shit. He says, "Do you know who I am?"
Yeah. I thought
maybe that's what he played.
The They're so good, man. This guy's a big fat white guy too, man. So
yeah.
I mean, he was in a Suburban, and he filled up that Suburban, man. So
yeah, so maybe that was how that played out, but yeah, he got his, and all right, now that's a good call, but yeah, it's wacky. So you know, the thing is, I don't disagree with you per se, right? I'm not as optimistic about it as you are, right?
With what, the economy?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that. Okay. The more I learn about our economy, the more I learn about other economies, and the more I realize that other economies are dog shit.
They're terrible.
That's
yeah, they're terrible. So
like I can sit here and point faults at ours all day, and it's so hard for me to turn around and not turn around to whataboutism and say like, yeah, but look at this.
You can't do it. I mean,
You're not going to get leapfrogged. You can't be leapfrogged.
No.
This shit right now, the thing... Tell me if this has been crossing your path right now about where they say, look at these 22 countries that are no longer going to be using the dollar as...
Oh, yeah, go for it. Go use the yuan. Good luck with that. So...
And like, BRICS is...
Oh, the global south? I mean, and it's just so this is okay. Yes, this has been all over my Twitter.
Okay.
So because of like two fucking guys in particular, who are just absolute shills for this bullshit.
Yes.
You know, yeah, and it's not that they have anything nice to say about Brazil or India or China. Well, maybe China a little bit. There's a weird strain of China worship.
There's still a little bit of like polishing the knob and
there's definitely
fucking
out there, but you know they're talking about the end of the U.S. dollar, and what they want is they want the end of U.S. power abroad. So I mean, and it's not about like pointing out the flaws in your neighbor's house or fixing your own house. It's about tearing down your goddamn house. So because you're not happy with it. So and they're not happy with it not for international reasons. They're unhappy with it for domestic reasons.
Oh, so, yeah, it's zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse. Can't believe that Donald Trump isn't in jail. Blah blah blah. All this stuff is the fucking. It's the part of the lefty that has spun off from the Hillary Clinton deplorables. The people who actually agreed with that. So. Yeah. They're over there.
The ones that are basically saying, no, you didn't push this angle hard enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where you see that. And I mean, I hate to say it, Glenn Greenwald is in there, man. So he's one of those guys. So, I mean, I love the dude. And I mean, 9 times out of 10, he reports some good shit, but he's definitely got his blind spots too. And if it's anything to do with like Brazil not being as cool as he thinks it is, then he's on your ass. So, So.
All right. So. You're right, and I've been following that dude for a while.
I've been following. I used to pay him money.
Yeah, you used to pay him. The thing about that guy, right, and this is what I like and dislike about him, because you're absolutely right, and it's just the way I see it is you have these guys, and I used to make a joke about it, but the whole thing was so you get these people who are like, yeah, I agree with this. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. And then you get to that last thing. It's like, what do you mean we didn't land on the moon? You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly what it is.
And you come across this dude that's just like, you seem so into this, and then there's this one little thing that you're like, wait, this all hinges on like 6 people in Europe, and it's not the Illuminati,
right? Yeah, exactly.
Right?
There's
just something.
I mean, you're never going to find someone who aligns with you perfectly ideologically, but you can get guys who are pretty close. But then, when you get hit with a curveball like that, like Douglas Murray did that to me last week.
What did he hit you with?
I love Douglas Murray. I've read all his motherfucking books. I think he's so well spoken, and 9 times out of 10, when I see him sticking it to somebody on Sky News, I love it. So, But last week, he did this whole speech at a synagogue in London about how they need to kick all the protesters out of London and box them up and ship them off to Palestine. So, and I was like, wait a minute, bro. You're the guy for the last 4 years that have been talking about defense of the West and the principle of freedom of speech. And just now, all of a sudden, because it's convenient for you and your audience, you have this law in England that doesn't protect free speech, so now you want to use it? It's like, come on, man. I'm going to give you a chance to walk that one back, and he didn't do it. So, because people never do walk shit back. So, I mean, it's rare. It's rare when you see someone admit that they were wrong. And I mean, so like Ben Shapiro's going through the same fucking thing right now. So, now, granted, his hand's a little close to the stove, so to speak, on this, and so I can't take him too seriously about anything that's coming out of his mouth right now. Other than the sentiment, his sentiment is genuine. So, but he's twisting himself into legal knots and bad arguments right now because he wants the Marine Corps to fucking land in Lebanon. Yeah. So, yeah.
And, for him, I mean, the funny thing is...
And I like him. I like him a lot.
You like him more than I do, like significantly more. I mean, the funny
he's not a townie, he's a lawyer.
Well, for him, the thing is, the apology could make things go away so easily, because all you would have to do is say, like, hey, here's where I was with this.
Right.
Right. And you know why? I'm going to tell you why. Right. This group, of which I'm very attached to,
Right.
has a rough history of this.
Yeah.
So I'm always on patrol for this.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I need to cop to is I jump to conclusions
Right.
about this. I walk that back. I'm sorry.
Right.
I don't take
That's all
back
you gotta
this.
do, man.
Right? But it's a tough thing. Nobody does it. Nobody, it's, I don't know why you think that, not him personally or just people in general, where this is the thing where we didn't have to make COVID apologies here because our governor was so very, hey, look, conditions are subject to change. Here's the data as is, so I'm going to implement this now. Till this time,
That guy needs to be fucking president.
I'm not going to fight you on that.
No, I know, man. But yeah, he was, you nailed it, man. He was perfect on it. So
Because nobody was doing that with it. Everybody wanted to be like, I swear to God, it's like, I don't know when the country, like at this point, is like, when everybody in power turned into fucking Reddit, where it's like, oh, let me get this straight.
upvote this. Yeah.
It wasn't just upvote, it was suddenly you had everybody here. It's like, all right, so where do you get your medical expertise from?
Oh god, yeah.
Right? So everybody jumped out there, and suddenly there were a fucking schmee on everything. Right? It's like, oh, well, the masks have to, because what?
So let me just anecdotally on this.
Yeah, you
so
go.
I've gone to quite a few doctors over the last year. So okay.
All right.
You know what?
Well,
yeah, I've had a lot of things, not including this contraption that's going to be on my arm for another 5 weeks, but whatever.
It's getting better, though.
It is getting better.
Yeah.
So yeah, see, it's opened up all the way now. So,
Look at you. Yeah.
so but
And you are still doing the exercise. Right?
I yeah.
You make
I
me
wanna get
proud,
this
man.
motherfucker off.
You're not my mother.
So-
You are doing the exercises.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's surprising how many are like just. I mean, they feel like they really have to baby me, on like information and stuff.
Oh.
And so I tell them, it's like, hey, look, you know what you're talking about. Okay, I'm not a doctor. I didn't Google this before I came here, so please just tell me. And they're like, oh, thank God, kind of thing. And fucking Fauci and his buddies fucked that all up for everybody because it was like that before, man. So where if your doctor said, hey, man, you need to you get that out of your mouth, you'd be like, okay, But now it's just like, I mean, and still the fights that are going on over COVID and everything. There's a guy that I follow on YouTube. He's this Australian doctor, man, who's like really controversial for years. He's still fighting that fight. So,
For or against masking or what?
against everything, all the things.
Okay,
RNA is going to turn us all into mutants and blah, 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 and all this different shit. And it's just like, hey, man, just
Not now.
not now. Not now.
Yeah.
I mean, find another drum to bang for a little bit, please, because I think we're all a little like still traumatized by that motherfucker. So and I think you're right. In some respects, we'll never see that happen again. But I mean, I don't know. The fact that it actually went there I think is kind of a wake up call for a lot of people too. So it was like, oh shit, that can still happen here. Fuck. So yeah.
It's weird.
It is
weird.
weird.
It's absolutely weird. Look, and I'm not going to. I'm going to tell you, I get a little bit like horrified when I see, the footage I've been seeing of basically like the pro-Palestine, marches.
They're terrifying.
Here, right? In this country.
I did see the one in Berlin where the Polizei came in.
Yeah, they ain't fucking
They
around.
fucking slide tackling.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
all right, Germany's a different place than it was 2 years ago. So
It is. I mean, this is the like. If I'm gonna look at this in hindsight, I guess because right now there's a bunch of people looking at knowing that there are going to be not just the Ukrainians got shifted, but there's going to be Palestinian refugees. They're going to go somewhere.
they got to get
right.
out. Yeah, if they can. So
Well, if they can, but they're like there are places like Poland. Like before, they're like, nope,
yeah,
Europe's
done, man. So
well, not all of Europe, right? See, this is the thing. This is the shit I'm talking about. Is
what parts of Europe are still taking them in?
this is where it's going to be a big deal? Is places like Scotland, places like
Scotland's a lost cause, man.
dude, that It's fucking.
And Ireland's right behind it, man.
I know.
So yeah.
And so
I mean, even the Swedes were like, I think we've got enough. You know?
that's what I'm saying.
So, yeah.
It's like, so if I'm going to turn this around and say, like, so all of you guys here who said, like, Brexit was wrong, right? Because we know why they voted for Brexit.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't just a financial thing.
It had nothing to do with it was like basically the financial equivalent of sawing your own left leg off. So, and they know that.
What was the real impetus behind it?
Fucking immigration. Yeah.
And
immigration and open borders were like, and the fact that they were losing all their trucking jobs to, guys from Turkey and stuff. And so economically as a country, we were talking about countries with fucked economies. There's number one on my list besides China. So, I mean, the amount of like capital that's fled from England is amazing. So, and it went right across the channel. So, but still, you ask the average Brit, and there's a guy that I know, and I see him every now and then. It's like, hey, how's the home country? He's like, fuck, but I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this is the thing is you turn around and say, like, how would that Brexit vote go now?
It would go. I mean, it would be a wide margin in that direction. It wouldn't even be close. So it'd be like, oh no, this is a 3-1 vote now for Brexit. So yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
They're not going to take it back, man. Yeah, no, that's done.
That's what I'm talking about here. The attitude on this has changed so much, right? Mm-hmm. And I get it. Okay, sure. I get it. I understand. This is. It's to me. I mean, looking at this, and yes, of course, there's fucking morons in Congress right now, and they're like, no.
We got a new guy today.
We did. I'm actually kind of looking forward to what that guy does. I don't know enough about him.
But I didn't know anything about him, man. I thought it was a joke at first. Wasn't that a Futurama joke? So I'm John Mikeson, or I'm Mike Jackson. Or
oh, yeah. No, that was like, I remember I saw his name. I'm like, I used to work with that guy.
He used to work with that guy.
I think he's a pilot now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I feel confident that he made it. But yeah, dude, it's just looking at this situation and the whole thing of, like, I can't tell you how many years I used to pick on those fucking European countries. It's like, oh, you ignorant Americans, you're closed butters. You don't let the Mexicans. You're so racist.
Yeah,
shoes on the other foot now, fuckers. I'm not wishing you misfortune. It's just, guys.
Hey, man, I welcome.
It's a complicated issue.
It is. They get it now. I welcome them to the fold.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. Like even France, France is turning hard right on a lot of things. Not like fucking Marine Le Pen, right? But,
yeah.
To the point in time, it's like actually no, we are going to patrol our coast and these riots. No, this does not happen in this country. And that yeah. And both like France and Germany, like even if. So what did they ask? They asked for another like $80 billion for Ukraine. So Germany just cut another 10 just the other day. France has cut another 10. That Europe can handle that now, man. So they've got the infrastructure. They've, the Ukrainians sent back German tanks. They were like, we can't use these anymore. So
what's wrong with them?
Their tanks are fucking useless on the battlefield.
And
they're like, hey man, we can put guys in these. They're just gonna die. So take them back. So, and Germany's like, okay, what do you need? And they're like, more of them rockets.
I say, like,
and they're like, yeah, we can make you all that. We can whip you up some rockets. So, yeah, I saw this good thing on that the other day. It's basically this guy that I've been watching for a while. He's really good, like strategy guy.
Oh,
and he's just like, hey man, this war is not going to change. It's not going to end. So you have two condition sets where this war ends. One is where the Ukrainians take Moscow, and that's impossible. And the other one is where the Russians take Kiev, which is equally impossible. So
you just fight. It
just stays where it is. So, yep. Hundreds of thousands of people die. There's two things that'll change in this thing. Okay, before either one of those two immutable things change, one of two things will change. The president of Russia will change his mind. Or the president of Russia will change. That's it.
Dude, all right.
Like he was pointing out, he's like, what happens if Zelensky takes a bullet tomorrow? There's another guy right behind him that feels exactly the same fucking
Right.
way. Yeah, he says that's not the case in Russia. So
Well, as a matter of fact, that would actually, it would probably mobilize things even more because they're like,
it's already fully mobilized.
no. I mean, in terms of like the support from around the world, which is like, well,
probably.
this is dirty.
Yeah, you just plutonium to that guy or
Bro.
whatever is it, polonium.
Okay, so I'm talking. I'm talking earlier on today. I'm talking. We've been discussing like, specifically, we've actually been talking about like Soviets, that kind of thing. She was telling me about something that was fascinating about. I'm going to read more about this, but it was about basically like jazz music in the Soviet Union.
Oh, neat.
Right, and she was telling me about these X-ray records.
Okay.
So I want you to picture this, right? So you have guys would have special dispensation from the Soviet Union to travel, right?
Okay.
Back in the day, right? And so the things we used to joke about this, ketchup, blue jeans, and all this other stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And bring this back and sell it for a ton, right? But the other thing that they were trying to import was music.
Into Russia.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Now, the way they were doing this was they would put these in folios, right? Basically, the same kind of folios.
These are LPs, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That they would put X-rays in. So the records would have like pictures of X-rayed bones on them, right? So that if they got
Oh my God, that's fascinating.
and that's how they were importing, like, because she was saying, she's like, well, I had these albums in my house. She's like, my grandparents, they listened to jazz because they bought them off the black market, but these were the X-ray records. I'm like, no shit.
That's fascinating.
Exactly, yeah. So she introduced me, there's a documentary and a book. I'm going to take a look at this, but more importantly, she was talking about the fucking sham that Putin was running, right?
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, I want you to picture this. I'm like, because this just happened. I'm like, what? She's like, so we have a constitution. I'm like, yeah. She's like, now, he wanted to change the constitution so that gay people couldn't get married, right?
Okay.
He's like, so you're not going to believe this. I'm like, okay, go on. She's like, so in changing the constitution, he then said, well, because we changed the constitution and I changed it, that means my term starts over.
This is fucking bullshit rules
what?
that you guys used to play by, man. It's like, that's not the rule set that came in the box, bro.
Look, we're not stacking plus twos or anything like that here, all right? It's like, well, if I changed it, well, then it starts over. And I was like, I want to put this in perspective.
That just happened?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And aside from the little tap dance of where they were switching the jobs,
Right.
every few years, I was like, let me put this in perspective. I said, like, do you know? I was like, how long has it been since presidents have had 2 terms in this country? She's like, I don't know. Has it always been like that? I was like, no.
No?
As a matter of fact, it wasn't that way until 1951.
Right.
She's like, well, how many could they have before? I was like, as many as they wanted.
Yeah.
It's like, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Because every president saw that as an abuse of power to go more than 2 terms. In fact, there was only one special
One
case.
guy did it.
Because we had sort of extenuating circumstances. And then after it was done, we amended the Constitution so this never happens again.
Immediately. Yeah. Enough so that even the guy who was entitled to a 3rd term turned it down at that time. He's like, no, 2 is good. So, yeah.
Yes.
That's the whole thing. I see so many people make that case. Oh, if you let Donald Trump back in, he's never going to get out. I was like, no, man. So that's a hard rule. That is one where not just a few people who want to break windows and the FBI like cause trouble. That's where all of us roll down there. You know?
Fucking, are you crazy? I tried to break it to her. I was like, you got to understand. It's like there are people in this country. It's like they mutter a small prayer to the Constitution every night before they go to bed.
They have little pocket copies.
Yeah, I'm like, we hold this thing so sacrosanct. I mean, like, especially egregious things. I'm like, do you know what packing the court is? She's like,
yeah.
She's like, no. So I explained it, and I'm like, they tried that once.
Yep.
During very popular Roosevelt's term. It's like, you know how that went down? She's like, what? Everybody but one person voted against it.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he felt obligated to dissent.
Yeah.
Because that's a gross overreach of power.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Amending the Constitution yourself and saying...
It's like sending something back to the kitchen and saying, cook me another one. You took a bite out of it. It belongs to you now. You know?
Fucking bananas.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. That one will just go on and on, man. Or
Dude,
well,
no, it is just Russian Calvinball. That's all it is.
Forgot about Calvinball.
That's all it is.
Russian Calvinball.
You want to write that down?
I think we got an episode time. Anyway, I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
I'm hitting the button.
Yeah.